This is just a sample of the audiobook. To get the complete audiobook, access the link posted in the first comment.
To work outside the service, I put my career on hold. But that didn't mean I gave up on my dream. Instead of buckling down on my push-ups, I auditioned for the military's performing corps, the entertainment troops. Funny as it may sound, the troops are extremely selective. Their audition process is the theatrical equivalent of Krav Maga. Seriously, it took several grueling months for the military to decide that instead of putting me into an Akita-type position, or alternatively making me serve coffee to a random commander, they could use my singing skills. I was in. I might not have been the most kick-ass secret agent, but I was a valued member of the IDF circus show. Don't ask, but there were no elephants involved. Every day we drove from one military base to another, and every night we performed sketch comedy and covered hit songs. Basically a nightly USO tour. The novelty wore off pretty quick, but the view from the back of the bus was priceless. From the Golan Heights to Hebron to the Gaza Strip, I saw how people lived and how the military worked. The Army was indeed a true melting pot, and I got to see places and meet people I wouldn't have had the chance to meet otherwise. It was also where I was introduced to the magical method of threading, or plucking your eyebrows with just a single thread. It, like the service itself, changed my life forever. Toward the end of my service, I received a call from my agent about a couple of job prospects. The first was incredible. I was offered the part of Rizzo in a new stage production of Grease, directed by the biggest director in the country and starring the biggest names of the time. Just so we're clear, I was obsessed with Grease. Obsessed. I knew it by heart, I loved the role of Rizzo, and I was beside myself with excitement. The second offer was to audition for a pilot for a new TV show. The casting director was looking for a 16-year-old ingenue, and as I was just over 19, I made perfect sense. I went to the audition and waited outside with all the other teenagers. They didn't give us texts, or as we call them, sides, to memorize in advance. They just handed us a piece of paper on the spot to do a cold read. I scanned that text, and man, it was crap. It was the most cliched phone conversation between a teenage girl and her mom, and it was not to this little brat's liking. When they called my name, I walked into the room, sat down, and asked the director if I could improvise. He was a bit shocked, but he said yes, so I threw the text on the floor and improvised a call, miming holding a phone to my ear and everything. When I finished, the director looked at the monitor, then looked back at me. "Can you smile for us, please?" I did. He looked at the monitor again, looked back at me, and said, "I have a role for you, but it's not this one." I didn't get the role of the innocent teenage girl. I got the role of the main villain, the main love interest, the main bitch. With both these offers on the table, I went to my commander to beg for a break. I told him about the musical and the pilot and asked if maybe I could start my career while completing my service like a good soldier girl. He didn't even pause to think about it. The musical was a no. Performing Grease on stage every night would take me away from performing for the soldiers every night. But that little TV show? Fine. It was only a pilot. He told me to go film it and come back. And so I did. That career move was one of the biggest turning points of my life. Grease came and went without leaving any lasting impression on anyone. However, that little pilot turned out to be the dictionary definition of an overnight sensation. The show, Ramat Aviv Gimel, named after one of the most affluent neighborhoods in Tel Aviv, modeled itself after American primetime soaps of the era, Melrose Place and the like. It took place in a fashion company, and I played the new hotshot designer brought in to revamp the brand, who naturally had an affair with the head of the company and subsequently got entangled in a series of delightful catfights with the CEO's older and super chic evil wife. It was silly, over the top, and the Israeli audience devoured it. The show became a massive hit. Ignorant of this all, I was still in the bubble of active military service. My fellow soldiers ribbed me about playing an older vixen on that TV show, but other than that, it was all business as usual. until that fateful day at the McDonald's. This is how my journey began. Back in the 90s,